How's it going, everybody? I'm
Hey,
here with Nikki Burnett, and I am Matt Rowe, and we're really excited about you being on our Facebook Live today, Real Raw Health. And welcome, Nikki, to the show.
yeah, you too. Welcome. I always look forward to Thursdays because they're so much fun.
What, the Thursday? Oh, you look forward to today?
Yeah, I look forward to this. And then, of course, the radio show, which is every other week. Thursdays are just kind of really fun days for me.
And this is the way every day should be.
Yeah.
Because when we look at health and everything around it, yes, it's about what we eat, but so many times we forget about what we think about. And if we are stressed out and we're angry and we're just having a terrible day, guess what happens? Our health degrades because it just stress equals inflammation, as you very well know.
Yep, it does. It's been an interesting journey just for me personally in the last probably year and a half, and working on my own thoughts and meditating and journaling and gratitude and really in my self-talk. I talk about this when I'm talking about food and mood, but our negative self-talk, and when I do something stupid, I'm like, oh, you're so dumb, kind of stuff. And it's these amazing habits that we create over time, or we hear from our parents.
Yes.
My parents, my mom, if she's watching, I love you, Mom, but she's the worst. She is always talking about how dumb and how silly and all these things. It's just totally self-degrading.
Right.
And I see it all the time now, and it makes me crazy. And so I have just been working on myself, and I still do it sometimes. Like, no, I'm not dumb. I might not have made the best decision.
Right.
I'm not dumb. Anyway, I really hope that that's something that we talk about more, just for our own health, but it translates to our animals' health. They feel it, they see it. It's all energy. And if we're putting out the good stuff's going to come in, and we put out the bad stuff's going to come in. And anyway, I'm totally getting off topic, but I think it's so important.
I think it's very important. For the last 10 years, I've been studying it to the degree of I ended up writing a book called The Identity of Health. And
I want that book. Yeah,
what's that?
I need that book. I haven't read it.
Hopefully it's going to get published this year. It's at my editor right now, and she's realizing that this is where negative talk comes in. She's realizing, wow, did this guy graduate the 3rd grade? And so as she edits the words to it. But that's besides the point. That's why I have this incredible editor taking a look at it. So, really, when you do the studies in regards to it, and it's been studied for over 40 years, is that 70 to 80% of our thoughts every day are negative. Nikki, you don't get in the car and tell yourself how awesome you are. Although that we should, we go into this binge reel of all the things that we should have said, didn't say, where we weren't correct, all of that type of stuff. And then the other crazy part about it is it leaves 3 out of 4 of us feeling like we are not good enough, or that we shouldn't be here. And we shouldn't be. I mean, Maya Angelou had it. She's quoted in saying, I've written 11 books, but each time I think, they're going to find out now. They're going to find out I don't know what I'm talking about. And that's the reality of it. I mean, that's after she won 7 Grammy Awards for the spoken word. It's got the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I mean, you look at somebody as impactful as that, still had the thoughts in her head, I'm not good enough. And so, we as human beings, it's natural that we beat the crap out of ourselves. So I love that you meditate and you look at it from a gratitude perspective. And have you ever had the thought process while you're writing the gratitude and meditating and all this stuff, and you're like, this is crap?
Oh, yeah. Well, especially when you're first getting started, because in your mind, as whether, entrepreneurs with families or dogs or just a million things going on, you're like, really? I'm doing this when I could be sending emails or, just the stuff that we have to do in life and in business to keep a business going. And so it has been, it's a, yes, I have to do this. And it's maybe I have to get up earlier, and I have been, I used to be at, 7 or 8 o'clock. Now I'm really pushing for the 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I'm still working on it, But I got to tell you, one of the things that has really been really impressive to me. Anyway, however you want to say that, but which I always thought was silly is the affirmations. All of these things that we
I'm
should be
wealthy. I'm
saying.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, really, really, come on.
Yes.
It has been the coolest thing to start doing, and this has only been for a few months, maybe, that I've been doing this. My husband actually pointed out, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And it's been this process of learning and going, I feel amazing. Like, I feel, all of these things are just really good. And sometimes I'm like, I really feel like I can just conquer the world. This is awesome. And it's really cool. And when I do have the negative talk, I'm just uber aware of it. And just that in itself is helpful, to be aware of what I'm saying to myself, and just keep saying it all day long and going through these habits. And this Joe Dispenza, breaking the habit of being yourself, that kind of thing. Get out of your habits and start making the new habits. So anyway, it's super fun.
It's a rewire. It's a rewire in your brain. I mean, you take a look at all your habits every day, or everything that you do. And I know we weren't going to talk about habits today as the thing, but you can rewire your brain. It takes about, 180 times. If you read Malcolm Gladwell, he'll say 10,000 hours. I don't think it's that extreme.
Yeah.
But your brain doesn't know the difference between you actually physically saying it and you thinking it. And so and you look at all the metaphysics of it all, and you follow Dr. Joe Dispenza, or you follow, Brene Brown, or any of these thought leaders that are out there. And what they're really pointing to is, yes, what you say becomes a reality. If I tell myself that I'm clumsy, well, guess what? I'm going to be able to find every clumsy moment that I trip on stuff, that I hit my toe, that I do all of that stuff. And it really comes down to its self-actualizing prophecy of, guess what? Yeah, what you say really has an effect. But I think from the side of, from dog health, from, just those around us, I think energetically we can push out there to our pets that we are sad, we are angry, we are excited, we're hyper, we're all this stuff. So I'm raising a 16-year-old, and I have a 5-year-old Catahoula. I had to guess there for a minute because we rescued him, and they told us, oh, he's 2, and we're like, took him to the to our vet, and they're like, no, this dog's 7 months old. So we're all in guess on how old Leo is. But at 5 years old, if my son comes in at 16 years old and he's all jacked up and he is just running around and he's all just being a 16-year-old, guess who matches everything how he is? Leo does. And being a 60-pound Catahoula, I necessarily don't want the dog all revved up every time we come home.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a really great way of putting it, because it's something that we can see and that we can do, we can experiment with. The dogs might be sleeping, you go up and you start, jumping around and playing with them. They're immediately going to get up and jump around and play. They match your feelings and they feel your feelings.
Oh, so absolutely.
Yeah.
Come home sad. I mean, you sit on the couch. Guess who comes and sits on your couch with you is the dog that really is synced up with you. And I think that they are synced with us even beyond, like at this point right now, they're feeling some of what I'm feeling. Yeah. And it's just natural. I mean, we are all energy. I mean, they proved it at MIT that everything vibrates. I mean, the coat on my chair right now, this computer I'm broadcasting into, it's all vibrating at a specific level. So at some point, guess what? We're vibrating. The dogs are vibrating, everything. And so we are just matching, and the dog is matching our energy and our feel. Yeah. But this goes into our habits of everything that we feed. So we were going to talk about, can you really feel better? So I have to ask you that question. Can you really feel better, Nikki?
Yes. And I've done it myself. And, we all have our own health journey and experiences. And for me personally, I've been on a journey since after grad school. I didn't care during grad school or in undergrad or whatever. I was like, whatever. I played with my horses and ate Taco Bell and Dr. Pepper.
But I'm in, by the way. It sounds awesome.
back in the day.
Yeah, I
um,
remember those. Yeah.
I know. But yeah, even recently I had some of my own GI stuff, which is like, wait, what? How does that happen? I'm a nutritionist. I take care of myself. I eat well.
Right.
Something got me, and something got me really good for several months. And
Wow.
and yeah. And so I always think to myself when things like this happen, it's not a bad thing. It kind of sucks to deal with it, but it
Mhm.
gives me the ability to put myself in my client's shoes and in anybody else's shoes to
Yeah.
see what you're dealing with. Because if I have to go through it, or it can either help me to understand it, the feeling, everything about it, or learn new protocols that might work better than what I was already doing because I hadn't experienced it before.
Right.
Go ahead. I thought you said something. Sorry.
No.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, at this point where I am, and I'm running my own labs and doing everything that I do with my clients, things are essentially back to normal, and I feel good and I feel healthy, and all of the symptoms that I had before are completely gone.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's a big thing, is understanding that pain is not normal, bloating is not normal for us or for dogs.
No.
And sometimes it's hard for us to know if dogs are inflamed, if dogs are not doing well, until they're just so far, down that road, like, holy smokes, what do we do now? And it can be fixed, or it can't sometimes. But that's why we do what we do in healthcare, and I think in all healthcare, is because, yeah, when we feel better, and then when we see people who we're helping feel better, they're doing a lot of hard work. It can be a lot of work. I mean, this,
Yeah.
to get to a place where you feel a lot better. I mean, you were having strokes, you're having all of these symptoms based on what you didn't know was a bad thing. I mean, and it takes time to understand what it's coming from, why it's coming from, and learning and being accountable to yourself and educating yourself and going to the people who know. And feeling better it's an amazing thing.
It, it is, but it's a journey. And, at some point, is if I would have told myself early on, well, this is just the way I am. And I use that word, this is the way I am. And if I am is sick, then guess what?
You're
My
sick.
body's got to be like, all right, you're telling me that I'm sick. So, but, really is as I started to adjust what I thought about, just not only myself, but what was around me and all that stuff, all of a sudden I paid attention to books that came. I read something a little bit more. I followed another thread, and I call it the peeling the layers of the onion back.
Yeah.
I would study something, and then that would lead me somewhere else, and I'd peel that one back and peel that one back. So pretty soon, the onion got huge, and I kept peeling it and peeling it and peeling it. But if I told myself that I was dumb and I didn't feel that I could ever fix this situation, I had to rely on all the doctors that I went and approached, then I would be in a much different case than I am today. I
Right.
don't think that I would be walking today if I had followed that thread. And so instead, I kind of thought about it differently. But it's the same, that we have a responsibility with our dogs, our cats, our loved ones, our kids, all of it, that when something comes up, is not taking it at the face value and going, I wonder what else might be going on. And it might be something as simple as feeding a raw diet, getting
Yeah.
away from kibble, or getting away from processed foods, or some of those habits of stopping at McDonald's with your kids when you pick them up from school. I mean,
Yeah, and not just covering up symptoms,
yeah,
so yeah, it's always digging for that root. I mean, that's what I tell people in practice is, my job is to dig and to keep digging. And I might not find the cause, but I'm going to get pretty damn close. And we're going to get rid of some things. We're going to balance some things that allows the body to work better on its own. So whatever was the root cause is going to get better. But I mean, we dig pretty deep so often with us, and I think it can be with dogs too, there's infection, there's something creating this inflammatory process. And so could it be infection? For us, a lot of times it's infection. I think for dogs, you know, we do enough of these tests, you know, I'm not as sure about that, but they do have a microbiome. If their microbiome is out of balance, they're going to have inflammation. And so truly, I think so much of their issue is based on the food that we feed. And we have been duped to believe that everybody knows better than we do, which is interesting, because then it goes back to, I don't know enough, and I'm going to trust those who say they know because they do the research, instead of let's have and I say this and it sounds maybe a little harsh, but it's true, because I did not have this common sense, but having a little bit of common sense, going, wait, does this look like food? Does it feel like food? Does it smell like food? Is there anything about it that tells me that this is food? And I say common sense, it should be, but there are a lot of things that should be common sense that in our world today aren't, because it's just a different world than it was. Anyway, it's super interesting, and people are afraid. People are constantly afraid of feeding something different than what they're told they should be fed by, whether it's the vet or the big food companies or whomever. People will say, okay, my dog is itching, and this like, I'll scour Facebook and the dog stuff and human stuff too, and somebody says, my dog is itching, does anybody have this experience? And like, go grain free, change their food, here's the best kibble ever, It's never, hey, right, let's try raw food, or it's, give them fish oil, which is a good option. Anyway, I'm sort of babbling a bit, but it's people are afraid of change, and as you say, going against the grain.
It's more fearful than our own death, Nikki. I mean, if you look at change, change leads to the unknown. We don't know what to expect when we start to peel that layer of the onion back. We don't know what to expect that if I get away from the kibble that I'm feeding my dog, and deep down, you kind of go into your gut, because, and we've talked a little bit about, I'm a believer that we have more than one brain. And so we have as many neurons in our gut as we do in the actual brain above our shoulders.
Connected.
And there's a direct nerve pathway between our gut and our brain, where that nerve doesn't go anywhere else but just between the gut and the brain. And so really, that gut feeling that you have, listen to it. It's right. And so as you take a look at all those factors, you're taking a look at it as, your gut feel might be, man, something's not right. I shouldn't be feeding this, or even for yourself, I shouldn't be eating this. This is not good. And so when we start to look at that, but when we start to peel that layer of that onion back, that might lead to change. It means my habit might change. Where I go buy my food is going to change. Where I go buy it now, that I have to go pick it up. Like for me, I have to go pick it up at, in a parking lot at a liquor store. And it's but it's really awesome food. It's Colorado raw dog. And this is the place, if you live in Colorado, to get raw food is from Edie at Colorado Raw Dog. But you might meet her at some obscure location. So that was change for me, and I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
No idea if I should go up. I don't know. But I do know that the benefit outweighed the fear of change. And and it just took practice over time to have my brain automatically go to that, instead of going, it's probably not going to work. It's not worth it. You're not a doctor. And so really going into that negative thought process that would have halted my ability to go make that change and be confident about that change. So really, you're absolutely right. Change is more fearful than our own death. Change it's like it stops you, it halts you and stuff like that. But I think at some point in today's day and age, we can't take what is being fed to us through marketing or from watching commercials or doctors or all that stuff. We can't take it at face value, even though, yes, they went to med school, they're right, they're all that kind of thing. There's nothing wrong with them, but it doesn't mean you can't do your own research.
Right.
And you can't be your own healthcare advocate. And so, and I think even for our pets, we have to be a healthcare advocate for our dogs and really dig into what is this raw movement? Why are so many people gravitating towards it? Why is, you hear stories of coats getting softer, the coat of the dog getting softer. That was a big thing that happened with Leo and Cha-Cha. We touched them and we're like, oh my God, you're soft. And
Amazing.
so
Yeah.
you look at all these little things and then you start paying attention, and it's little moves. And it's all these little moves that lead up to this big, the big change that you want to see. But don't make any big changes right away. Just take little, small, smart steps.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point. I would also throw out there that although it seems overwhelming and daunting, I've got 3 dogs, 30 to 50 pound dogs. And it probably takes me 10 minutes to feed them. And so it's understanding that what you're going to do, as long as you're getting the good information from the right people, that what you're feeding them it's easy. It's not as easy as sticking a cup in a box or in a bag, right? But we wouldn't do that for ourselves. And again, we've said this many times, they're our family. We should treat them as such. And it is overwhelming when you have a big family, but when you really can take 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to feed your dogs and keep them around longer because they are part of the family. It is, once you get there, it just takes a little bit of time, but it's like any habit change with yourself. If you decide you want to go on a diet, which I hate the word diet, I think it's a terrible four-letter word.
You and I share the same. Yeah.
The only time I'll say the word diet is if it's therapeutic. Keto can be a therapeutic diet. Veganism can be a therapeutic diet for a period of time.
But it's a life change.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is it is a change from what you were doing to what you want to be doing. And then over time, this is what I do. And it's been, I've done it. I think lots of people have done it. And it just takes taking that fear away, starting to do the research, call one of us.
Yeah.
And there are, some pretty good people out there who know what they're talking about. And start that change. That's why we're here. That's why you're doing Zoom tonight, 6:00, right?
Yes.
You're doing a Zoom and you talk about how to feed raw. Is it a like an example, like you're putting it together? Is that what you're doing?
No, so it's essential nutrition for a healthier dog. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go over 4 of the 48 nutrients that our dogs need in their body. And we're going to go in detail of what happens when they're deficient or have excess. So we're really going to talk more about the nutritional aspect of food and how it really affects our health and affects our pets' health. And it really is all about our pets. And so, it's a fun workshop that I give. So, but you pointed to that once you start establishing some of these habits, you get reinforced because you feel better.
Yeah.
I remember years ago when I made the decision to cut gluten out of my diet, and I didn't have brain fog anymore. I was happier.
Yeah.
And it was all these little things that started to change. And then at some point I'm like, it wasn't that I have to give up gluten. It's just, I choose not to eat it anymore.
Yeah.
Because I don't like how it makes me feel.
Right. And it's true. And it's, this is all human and not as much, pet. I would say actually that's not true, because dogs don't need gluten. Do not give your dogs anything with gluten in it. And it's everywhere. Yes. Gluten, corn, soy. Oh, for love of Pete, it's everywhere. But there's people are afraid of giving up gluten. I tell them, and I do half the time when we're doing a phone consult before they even pay me, I'm like, just know that you're going to give up gluten for a while. Yeah. And if they're not ready for it, then they don't come to me, and that's okay. But it makes such an impact on our gut health, on our brain health, on potentially our joint health. It's amazing what it has the potential of doing in a negative way to our bodies. And then what people experience when they do give it up, and they're like, for one, it's not that hard. So, well, that's a lie. Some people will say it's hard, but I feel the difference and it's worth it. Others are like, it is not that hard. There's so much gluten-free stuff out there now, healthy, gluten-free stuff, because there's lots of unhealthy gluten-free stuff. Just because it's gluten-free doesn't mean it's healthy. But
Thank you for saying that.
sometimes it has to be said.
Yeah, it's not this magical, I gave up gluten, I'm gonna lose 20 pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is, it's a habit change, as with many things. And we do it because we want to be better. We want us to be better. We want our dogs to be better. Or we want our family to be better. I just want to say that because it's all encompassing. We want our family to feel good.
Right.
And that's really what it all comes down to, is just feeling good and living a life on this planet for as long as we can, doing the best that we can.
Yeah. And if you follow the thread, so let's say I'm an individual, my stomach gets upset when I eat gluten and I haven't identified it's gluten. So then I go see this incredible practitioner by the name of Nikki Burnett, and she gets me to stop eating gluten. So I stop eating gluten for, let's say, 2 weeks, and I start to feel a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Well, then I start thinking about my dog and what they're eating, and I start switching to more of a raw style diet for them, and they have more energy. So now I feel better, my dog feels better. So let's say I go for a walk that day. And then let's start saying that I establish a walk that every night when I come home from the office at 5:30, I go for a walk every day. We'll just take that basis of its own. Prior to gluten, I didn't walk. Now that I gave it up, I feel better. So now I start walking because it's spring, it's nice outside. I've always wanted to go out, and I've always known I need to take my dog for another walk. But now that you guys are both feeling better, that makes that whole crossing that is easier.
Yeah.
Then because you're walking, you might go, gosh, I wonder what it would be like if I gave up milk, and you run that same experiment. So really that whole idea of, can you feel better? Yeah, of course you can feel better. I think a lot of us don't know how good we can feel because since birth to the point that you're at in your life, you have not maybe experimented with feeding better, or eating better. And so maybe you come off of college and you're having Taco Bell and what did you say?
Taco Bell and Dr. Pepper.
Taco Bell and Dr. Pepper, and you're rocking that, which at the time is awesome. And you're like, I'm impervious to any ailment that's out there because I'm eating Taco Bell and Dr. Pepper and feel great. And case in point, once again, I have a 16-year-old and he comes home and he's like, man, I eat Del Taco every day for lunch. I'm like, don't tell me that you do that.
It's just so hard.
Hide it from your dad. So, and all of that. So, but at some point in your life, when you eat processed foods, and just like our dogs, when they eat processed foods for an extended period, it may not be hurting them now. Now, granted, we can't ask our dog, hey, how did breakfast feel today?
Yeah.
We really can only see how they're acting in their day-to-day. Do they have more energy? Do they have diarrhea? Do they, are they showing some of these ailments that are coming up? But at some point, even for ourselves, we get so used to feeling a certain way. Maybe our stomachs are upset and we cover it up with Tums and we mask a symptom with some other pharmaceutical drug that's out there. But we don't know how good we can feel until we start making some of these changes in our life and follow that thread of, what's going to happen. And we never know when we give up gluten, when we give up milk, when we give up, for me, it's pork. Every time I have pork, I get some brain fog and some stuff comes up in me. And I'm like, no, I just decide I don't want to eat it anymore. I don't want to feel like that anymore because I know how good I can feel if I don't do it.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to add to that is, when we don't know what we think that we're impervious as kids, and our pets are, they're puppies and they're energetic and that's what they do. And then they age at 5 years old, disease, illness is a process.
Yeah.
It takes sometimes a really long time. We have these redundancies in the body, like, okay, this is suffering here, so I'm going to take care of it over here. But the body can only do so much. And over time, then I feel like I've said this before in here, but I don't remember, but I say it a lot, is the body, when we start to feel the pain, or our animals feel the pain, or any symptom, whatever it is, brain fog, mental and emotional issues, gut, joint pain, whatever it is, it's not normal. And it's our body yelling at us going, hey, I'm finally to that point where I can't take it anymore. And I need you to pay attention. And then that's when we go oftentimes and we try to just cover up the symptom, but we're not taking care of the root cause.
Yeah.
And so we're still the body's still trying to fix the problem, and it can't fix the problem because it doesn't have the ability, whether it's the right nutrients or, enough movement or, whatever it might be, less stress, all of these things that create the inflammatory process. And that's when, however long it takes, as you said, we're impervious as kids, but is that the right word? The second time I'm like, is that the right word?
Yeah, impervious. Yeah. Your inability to,
Yeah. But we all think, 20s we're feeling good, but we might put on a little extra weight. And then 30s things maybe slow down. And then 40s and 50s we're slowing down. Do we really have to be slowing down? Well, think about the way that you ate in your teens and your 20s and your 30s. And, if it was good, great. You probably feel really good now. But then if the cancers come up, the heart disease come up, all of these, the diabetes comes up. It's not from yesterday. It's from your teens, 20s, and 30s when you thought I'm indestructible and I can do anything and I don't need to eat well. I'll eat well later. But the body can't handle it. So I'm not going to tell this story, but anyway, I think I decided it was a bad idea. But I think it's important I did the same thing though. We can't, you're experiencing this with your kiddo. We can't tell them. We can just hope that they take a little bit of it in at a time because it's always going to catch up with us.
Yep. And I did that with my daughter. So, I mean, really taking a look at when I was going through my health journey, I've chosen not to eat corn, soy, gluten, dairy, pork, or eggs because each one has a layer of toxicity and each one, I don't feel really good after I eat it. So, of course, since I'm the chef at home, guess what? My entire family doesn't eat corn, soy, dairy, gluten, pork, and eggs. But something that, my son rebelled and he's like, I'm eating gluten. I'm like, that's fine. But my daughter realized that when she had gluten, even at the age of 14, she's like, I don't feel good. Like, she's like, I just feel terrible. I'm tired and I don't want to feel that way. And so she made the conscious choice at that point too. And it's not that she can eat it. It's not, she just chooses not to eat it because she wants to feel good. So really along those standpoints is we make these choices in our life in order to feel better. And I think that in our day and age today, we've got to take a look at all of those incidents where food is going to wreak havoc on us. And food is where we get our nutrients from. Food is what actually supports our health. If we're deficient in vitamins or if we have highly processed meals and our body is fighting and inflaming because we've eaten something that our body doesn't know how to digest, then essentially you're just adding water to the bucket and at some point it's going to overflow and your body will get your attention, whether it's from an ailment like cancer or whether it's an ailment like multiple sclerosis, diabetes. I mean, and you look at the prevalence of autoimmune conditions today. And I think it's really directly related to the toxins in our environment. Why our grandparents didn't have to deal with this is vegetables were 80% more nutrient dense than they are today. So you take a look at it, most of us are just nutritionally deficient. And we're doing that to our animals too. We're following along in those same threads because we want to make it an easier route for us. But like you said, it takes you 10 minutes to feed your 3 dogs. But how much joy do you have at some point feeding them a good, raw, healthy meal that you're making them healthier?
It's one of my favorite things to do in a day. And I'll tell you that, I do this for myself. I love to cook and I love
Yeah.
to eat well, but I have a hard time getting away from my computer, and I have a family, I have a husband and dogs that I have to get out and feed. And so I have to make myself stop working so I go feed
Yeah.
us. So, but when I feed them and when I watch them, because literally every time they eat, I watch them eat. I don't know, it sounds weird, and I've done it for years, but I love to watch, especially now, changing their bowls. I love to watch and see what they eat first, how they eat it, who eats what, and what they eat last. But they always eat it all, except for maybe a pill or something if they miss the fish oil. But it makes my heart just go, they are getting so much goodness. But I do that with myself and, my husband. I'm like, I want to give you goodness, but that's why we live life, is for goodness, right?
Right.
And it's a beautiful thing. It's cool.
Well, look at the mental that you gain from feeding them healthy. So you make this choice to feed your dog healthy, which gives you that sense of pride that you're doing something good. You have that love you feel in your heart. And so really it kind of comes down to that cascading effect as well. We can't just take a look at one singular event and say, oh, this is going to fix it.
Yeah.
It's not that singular event, it's what it builds up to and what it cascades to that really creates this ultimate health that we have, and our pets' health as well. Because you feeling good and you basically serving that with love, they're getting that love. They're feeling that as well. You're not yelling at them when you feed it to them. You're not throwing it down and saying some derogatory comment when you feed them, which hurts yourself as much as it hurts them. They can feel how much joy you have getting them a healthy meal. And so, and even for your kids, your whoever's around you, your husband, all of that, yes, there's a sense of pride that comes when I know I can provide for them in that way, because it's kind of a self-serving, and oftentimes we don't think about the benefits for ourselves when we do care for somebody else and we serve somebody else in that space.
I love that. That's such a great point. That's really, I love that.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Good stuff.
It's true. I mean, with everything. And so that's something that I had to look at with my own health stuff, is eliminating stress out of my life. Now, granted, being an entrepreneur, there's just a little bit of stress that comes with being an entrepreneur.
Yep.
I hold these fingers like this far apart, but it's like 7,000 miles wide in regards to how much you get. But it's my choice of whether or not I engage in that stress or not. And it's something that it took years to figure out. And some of those things, I'm not perfect at it. And it's just one of it. It's just part of the journey.
Yeah.
And so
I'm sorry. I went ahead and one last thing, and I hope I tell this story well, because I think it's really interesting. We start off with mindset and kind of, weave it into our conversation here. And then the story that I have to tell is based on that as well. And so it's also a person who I know who was diagnosed with MS. A lot of similarities to lots of stuff going on. You're going to be in a wheelchair, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what he did literally was meditate, which helped him to, and I say heal. I don't know if he's in remission. I think he still has some numbness, but which hurts my heart a little bit. I'm like, you have an autoimmune disease. You can't do dairy. You can't do gluten. Come on, don't. But he hasn't changed his diet. He literally went inside of himself and imagined, it's this really cool thing, but imagined these little beavers putting everything, all of his neurons and everything all back together in his brain. And I think he would do that for a couple hours every day, which is pretty intense.
Yeah.
That's what he did, is he essentially willed himself, meditated himself, gratituded himself well.
You're absolutely right. I mean, when you study epigenetics and you go down that trail of epigenetics, I mean, that's why my TED Talk got censored, is because I talked a lot about epigenetics within it. And you take a look at, yes, you can change your cellular structure.
Mhm.
If I can change my cellular structure with stress and anger and
Yeah.
frustration, why couldn't I change it the other way? It
Right.
just didn't make logical sense
Mhm.
that that road only travels one
Yeah.
way. It's a two-way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so really taking a look at it, and something that I did notice is, indirectly, I notice my dog's calmer. I notice my kids are calmer. I
Mhm.
notice that I'm happier when I come home. I don't react to certain situations.
Yeah.
Somebody cuts me off on the road, I blow them a kiss now, which
Mhm.
is really like awesome. It actually is more awkward than giving the finger. And so really on some of those sides. And I noticed I laugh more. And I
Yeah.
didn't get worried about all this. So I think your friend is spot on right. And I think
Mhm.
when they look at multiple sclerosis, it's a stress-related disease. And it's something
Mhm.
that I had to study for myself
Yeah.
because what was my alternative? I end up in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not going to play that game.
Not gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
And you have the will. When you have the will, I mean, that's what it takes, is the will to do it and to understand it and make the change,
Mhm.
instead of just kind of, I mean, and I've seen this in life and in family where it's okay, well, this is what I have, and well, that's it. This is me, and I'm
Yeah.
done. You know, it's sad, but you know, you gotta have the will. Not everybody does, and you gotta accept that too.
Yep.
Knowing that the potential is there is pretty huge.
Yeah, and when we started the conversation with it, with your thought process, changing from that 70-80% of negative to something that is, what, yeah, this is possible, but it's just going to take practice. That's
Yeah.
all it is. I mean,
Yeah.
take a look at every professional athlete, every great athlete out there, they practice all the time. You don't get stronger by sitting on the couch.
Right.
So, I mean, just like this is just your mission, your goal now is at that
Mhm.
point, I'm going to feel better and I'm going to help the health of my pets. I'm going to help the health of my kids and my family and those that are around me, because guess what? They love you so much that
Yeah.
they only want to see you happy. I mean, I don't come home and I'm like, God, I hope my wife is really upset tonight. No, I'm like, God, I hope she's like happy and I hope she's excited about stuff. And it's, really it's my perception of the situation that steps into it. And if it is a bad situation for you, I mean, anybody that's listening right now, at some point you have the choice to stay. And I know that is the hardest thing that you could ever possibly imagine, is making a huge change like that. But just make small little moves,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
regards to it. What you read, what you listen to, the music that inspires you, all of it. Little moves, nothing big.
Yeah. Yeah. I have utilized YouTube more than I ever thought I would, by finding breath work meditation. So
Yeah.
you breathing, using the, and I'll do, so if you haven't heard of the solfeggio, have you heard of solfeggio music? I don't know a lot about it.
No, I have not. This is a new one.
Uh-oh. Well, I don't know how much time we want to further we want to go. Anyway, I'll be really quick. It's music. It's these binaural beats, but there's something special about this solfeggio. But the point is, they play the music. You do the affirmations, and I'll actually meditate on the affirmations, but then I'll listen to them as I'm working, and just kind of
Yep.
let the music and the affirmations go through. And then of course I do try to do some Bible study and some prayer, and it's
Yep.
a whole thing. But anyway, sorry, YouTube is where I get a lot of stuff that and I don't have to pay for it. I'm just getting cool stuff that is really been fun to experience and figure out and learn and share.
It's such a gift in our day and age that we
Mhm.
have access to all of this information, and so many good thought leaders are putting stuff out. Just watch where you're getting it from and watch your gut. I mean, is your gut telling you, is this right or not?
Yeah.
And some of those signs, and you really take a look at it, and is it helping? Do you
Mhm.
feel better? Are
Yeah.
you happier? Do you smile
Mhm.
more? Do you laugh? I mean, you've got all these little indicators throughout your life. Do you feel better? And so with it all, I mean, you're going to see it cascade and
Mhm.
blow up. So we're at about 45 minutes right now. Man, could I talk on what we're talking about for hours? And
Yeah.
everybody online would be like, you guys are driving us. Like, we got it.
Done. Yeah.
We got it. So the big takeaway from today that I got was to start slow and
Yeah.
really allow it to build up. What was the big thing you took away today, Nikki?
I think that probably the biggest thing, for one, is your mindset affects everybody around you, including your dogs. And then it's okay to go against the grain.
Yep.
That's what
Yeah.
this is all about. That's what alternative medicine is about. That's what functional medicine, functional nutrition is about. That's what health coaching and acupuncture and all of these things that are for humans and for animals. It's all about going against the grain and doing something big. And
Mhm.
it's a good thing.
Yeah, you do you.
Something little. Yeah.
I love it. So
Awesome.
thank you guys very much for watching.
Yeah.
Follow Nikki Burnett at Taste Life Nutrition. You can follow her, like her page on Facebook. Go to tastelifenutrition.com. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep. Thank you.
Awesome. Tastelifenutrition.com and check out everything Nikki does. This is when you're looking at establishing a new habit, a new way of life, and one that you can feel as healthy as you know you can feel. She's your guide. She can get you there. So I love everything that Nikki does. And you can also follow us at parsleypet.com if you want to know what nutrients are inside your dog and how to get your dog healthier. You know, we deliver the nutritional blueprint test. So definitely just come to parsleypet.com. And I want to let everybody know we have a new website that's going to go live on February 10th. So I've looked at some of the frameworks of it, and I'm super excited. So we're going to have like an educational sector on there. We are going to have live event. We're going to have events, how to get them. And so all of that stuff. So our website is going to grow up. And so the old one's still active until the 10th when we make the switch. But
Nice.
really excited about that. So follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you so much for listening to Nikki and I today.
Yeah, we love it. Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for making it a great day today.
Yeah, it's a great day. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.